So talk to me a little bit about, because I think this is something that's interesting to me, and I think a lot of people as well. How does somebody who hasn't really maybe experienced a lot of failure or is, you know, deathly afraid of failing, how do they start to accept failure, do things with, the probability that they will fail? How do they gain the understanding that, failure is not the end and just kind of move forward from that?
Well, we can all talk about the ideas. I mean, one of the things that I learned from a friend of mine, who many of you guys know, Robert Kiyosaki, when we were teaching a couple years ago, we were talking about wealth, and he said that wealth lies in the experiences that you have when you go through things, when you do things. It's not about cash or cash flow or assets. That has nothing to do with it. And I was like, wow, that's really good. And I just realized, man, I'm like the richest man in Babylon here. Like, I am full of wealth because I have effed up everything. And and one of the valuable things is to be around people that encourage it and condone it. They're like, hey, go screw something up, and then support you through the process. The problem is most of us have environments of friends and family who don't want to see us in pain. So
Mhm.
they discourage us from going out and doing things. Ooh, that seems risky. Ooh, stick in the stock market. Ooh, that's a good idea. And I go, man, you love me so much, you hate me. Like, what is wrong with you? So how do we fix that? I can tell you that mistakes are amazing, but you're going to be like, nah, it's too painful because I'm afraid. What do? Physically, you go to other people, you create different environments that you'll start adapting to and becoming. And if you have different environments of people that are making mistakes, that are supporting you in that journey, you're naturally going to do them without having to talk yourself into it. So it's really shifting your environment. That is the key, I think, for most people to be able to shift.
So I think that is the best way to put it. Because the way I do it, the way I tell people that story, I tell people, hey, listen, the worst thing that's going to happen, you're going to lose your fucking money, right? You put 20 grand into something, you're going to lose it, right? Okay, it can get bad with foreclosures and stuff like that. I get it. Probably not going to happen if you educate yourself a little bit, but the way you break it down is a lot nicer. I said, listen, the best thing you can do is invest 20 grand and lose the money, because you're either realizing, wow, I can't do that again, or you're going to build a foundation of what not to do and be more successful. But I agree 100%. I joke around my parents all the time, like, why didn't you teach? You guys were so encouraging and you were so supportive. I'm short, fat, and bald. I was never going to play for the Yankees. Like, you should have told me that, or you should have ingrained it in my head when I was younger, because they were so supportive of my dream of playing baseball that they did anything they could for me. But inevitably, it's very hard to play at that level. But if they would have taught me about real estate or buying properties, I would have started a little bit younger. But no, I agree. Sometimes you got to get out of that element of support and into a different community, a podcast, a Facebook group, a different environment with people and networking to really break you out of that comfort zone of don't make a mistake.
Well, and our system is creating a bunch of snowflakes, people that are just literally pussies. Like, they're, I think, unfortunately, a lot of parents are trying to keep their kids safe, and they're creating very weak human beings by coddling them. And so, to your point about, yeah, go do something with $20,000, you're going to learn. And the most dangerous thing that I'm seeing is people will show up sometimes, and I've had this happen a number of times. One couple in it, for example, came to me about 6 years ago, and they said, we want help with our money. I said, well, what can I do? They said, well, we've got about $2 million. We're 52, 53 years old, and we don't want to be on the Wall Street roller coaster. I'm like, okay. The problem is they had no muscle. They're like Pee Wee Herman. They had no muscle around their finances or money. They just accidentally had a couple $1 million because of their house that they had grown. It had increased in value over 10 years. And some money that they happened to have in a bull market that did fairly well. So the problem is not that, I mean, the biggest problem was they hadn't actually gone out and lost $20,000. And so they were in the age of, oh my gosh, I don't have time to lose it and make it back, because it took them 30 plus years to make it. You go lose $20,000. I've lost all my money 3 times and nobody died. And I've had foreclosures. Okay, it sucks. You can't even qualify for a toaster oven for a year. Okay, I get it. Like, it's not fun when you call your father when you're 30 years old, hey, can you sign on a lease for an apartment with me after you've been a multimillionaire? Trust me, these things, like, you want to talk about swallowing your pride. Like, it happens. And yet here we are, back on the other side of that because I was willing to go through. And now there's wisdom. Wisdom is not something you get in a book. It's because you've gone through hell and you kept going. Like Winston Churchill said, just if you find yourself in hell, keep going. And so that's the whole process of failing. Failing is magic. It's truly the most precious thing that we avoid. for no good reason other than to soothe our ego and our pride and to make everybody else comfortable around us.